Genie grind, I wish I'm getting rich, huh? Remember when I said I hit a lick, huh? I don't really wanna fuck the bitch, what? Willie when I made another hit, okay, like Prada on my motherfucking kid, huh? Louis on my motherfucking hip, huh? Curry how I dunk, no switch, hey, fucker gonna fuck that bitch, hey, if you ain't gon' fuck with me, you a dumb fuck, put up a hit up for that one punch, look at my bank and I'm getting dumb rich, and I'm gonna count it up till 100,
Hello world, I'm What If Study, and today we are doing What If Deku was betrayed in his tier. We start off with Tyr in the heavens, looking down upon his north, mythology or whatever is happening at the time. Tyr left alone after Ragnarok had happened. Tyr settling down on the front stoop, watching over the rest of Earth, as all the events of Ragnarok has transpired, leaving everything in ruin. However, the world, it continued on. Bewildered by this, how all the gods had died except for him, left bleeding and alone without his left arm. He watches over the world, a lone survivor, Heimdallr. Well, what is he going to do? As him and Heimdallr watch over the world, well, the whole galaxy, even. Tyr sees wonders, making him regret all of his decisions to start wars. Every single place that he went started a war. That's why he stayed in Asgard. But now it's destroyed. All that's left is Midgard. That's Earth, by the way. If only there was a way to reset, to take all of it back, to just completely reset everything. But I guess that's hoping for way too much. As Heimdallr looks to him and senses there may be a way. What? There may be a way. How? Tell me, please. We've been looking over it for centuries. I haven't seen one person. There is a boy about to be born. With his potential, combined with your intelligence, well. Is it possible to... You're saying that you want me to rebuild it. All of it. You must find the rest of them. All the gods. To replace. Thor, Odin, and many others. You're kidding. No. I know you're not. That's a term of phrase, actually. I've heard a lot from down below, actually. Watching over them. Clearly, you've just been watching the certain people. You know basic next to nothing. Heimdallr. It'd be best if I go down. Everywhere that you go, destruction happens. Tyr. Wars begin. I've become a peacekeeper now, okay? I don't want to start anything. It's a curse. Don't you understand, Tyr? I have to do something, Heimdall. You know nothing about Earth. You've only watched as its guardian. I am the final hope for Asgard. Loki's running rampant on Earth, and there's nothing for me to do except sit here and wallow. Fine. You have to take him soon, however. He's being born this second. And watch out, Tyr. He is quirkless. As Tyr shifts down to Earth and awakens as the boy, he learns his name is soon, as his mother names him Azuku. He starts to live out this world, learning since he was almost 4. Once he got to the ripe age of 4, he started his training, as his body was able to fully function by this point. He had been learning about the world by reading texts, studying the different monsters, and in this world, since Loki had been doing whatever he wanted to, frolicking about, quirked animals started to appear in the news. Hundreds of innocent victims. People being destroyed left and right. Sounds like what they need is war. No, I can't think that way. War. I need to be this world's peacekeeper. I can't look back anymore. I have to do something. As then they say that they're even they're running out of heroes, actually, because a lot of internal, conflict plus, unintentional animal deaths are constantly happening around. They need more heroes, so they start doing quirk tests earlier and earlier, almost to when some kids are 5. And when Deku turns, Tyr turns 5, he's immediately tested by his parents. You need to survive in this world, my son. Remember that. So no matter what quirk you get, well, you'll have to train it to your best ability. You hear me? Are you listening? As Deku says, well, what if I don't have a quirk? Well, let's not think about that. Alright. Right. This guy is clearly not going to support me. Maybe my mother, but as he looks over to his mother, she looks even more hesitant to answer that question. As the test results come out negative, his father is silent, as is his mother. As they make their way to the car, he hates to break the silence. However, if he's going to do anything, he might as well. As his father interrupts him before he even gets a word out, saying, "God damn it! I knew it. I shouldn't have." As his mother's like, "What are you doing?" As then he swerves off onto the highway, going as far as he can. As Deku starts to get worried, like, what is he doing? As then his father kicks him out of the car, almost totaling it, trying to get away from him. As they're like, if you're not quirked, you're not going to survive. I don't want to deal with that. You can't live in this world without a quirk. You're nothing without a quirk. As then he drives off, surely to bang his mother more, so that they can make a child worth their love. As Deku did hear once of one of his older brothers becoming a massive success of a hero. He now looks to the wild, alone and afraid. He brushes that off of him, saying, "What am I thinking? I'm Tyr, goddammit." As he picks up one of those gigantic sticks that he finds around, he says, "I've survived much worse in Asgard. The many wars that plagued that place were my fault, and I had to pay for it as well. I had to survive thousands of years alone in the wilderness, trying to keep my distance from other people. But I guess I'm just find myself back in that wilderness once more." As he progresses along the leaves, he brushes them out of his way to find a cave, one full of something that he can't sense, something that he is unknown to, a quirk, fire breathing. He can feel it from the warm air coming from it. He prepares himself for a tough fight as he brings up one of the sticks. However, he already feels a presence come behind him. As he turns around swiftly, a gigantic bear stands in front of him. One that triples his size. Not exactly the biggest bear that you'll find, but one that's big enough to toss him in one hit. If he gets hit once, he's dead, as he dodges right under the first attack that he did not expect. However, he is immediately uppercutted in the stomach and sent flying into the tree with a little stem poking out of it that barely scrapes the side of his cheek. As he hits it, and it knocks the wind out of him. He continues running and running and running as fast as he can, as a wolf sees him and starts chasing after him. As another wolf comes after him, he starts barreling down a hill as stacks and prides, different gangs of animals start to chase after him. Is this his curse activating? Is Maybe it's this kid's quirk. No, this is a curse. A goddamn curse. As all of the animals, as he follow him down the cliff, he jumps off of one of their heads, landing on the cliff's edge. As he turns around, seeing all of the animals, he sees no other way out of this, as there's almost 30 of them chasing after him. He looks down to the icy water below. Let's hope that this young body's rigid, as he jumps up and then lands inside of the frozen water that was more than almost 50 feet below him. He wakes himself up in the icy waters as almost he can feel no part of his body. However, he grabs onto a piece of ice as he breaks straight through it, as he starts to sink faster and faster, as a squid head caught onto his leg. A squid in this shallow of water, as he looks down and sees nothing but a black abyss. What the fuck? As then it starts squirting acid after acid, ink after ink, as then he sees a small spark in its mouth. The teeth were quirked to chomp together so hard that it creates a spark, and then all of the ink starts to explode, as then sort of this adrenaline starts activating in him, this war adrenaline, this sort of berserker rage, as he grabs onto its tentacles, knowing that he's not going to make it out of this. He holds his breath as hard as he can and grits his teeth, as then he pulls himself below the squid, dodging the explosion, and grabs onto its head, grips around it, and locks arms, squeezing as hard as he can as the squid tries to starts suction cupping onto his skin. Yeah, sorry about that. Starts to wrap itself all the way around him, trying to shoot more and more ink. However, it's out as Deku splits it in half, with all the blood splurting out into the water, as it all just seeps into it, as it only seems as red tinted. He's used to this blood, but why is he shaking? Oh shit, air. As he barely makes it up to the surface, he grabs onto it, pulling himself out of the water out of natural instinct onto the thin sheeted ice. Fuck. How many was that? Since there was crabs on the beach, that it used to be a beach, at least until it was covered in ice. He walks along the frozen animals in the ice, each one frozen in a singular position, until he comes along one that looks eerily suspicious. His war rage begins to burn brightly to keep himself warm in this harsh winter. Almost a year goes by as he survives out in the wilderness, fighting quirked things, becoming so good at fighting these animals that he has this animal instinct that activates. He can sense a thing's thoughts. He can sense what it's feeling, what it knows. But there's one thing that he fears. What was that stuck in the ice? What activated my natural instincts so harshly that my berserker rage activated on its own? He activated his berserker rage every single, interval to keep himself warm in the winter. As then in the summer, it was fresh pickings for him. He hunted with a spear and many different weapons, usually using a net as fishing became easier and easier. He started to use a trident actually because of the quirked salmon becoming faster and much more aerodynamic as they started to get slimmer. However, it started to become much better to hunt bigger game. As such, he started to find sea serpents running up the rivers, as he started hunting those down too, something along the lines of Gyarados. But sometimes he would find stuff that was melting from the ice, stuff that he didn't think he would have to fight, things that should never be in this world. Dragons, mystical quirked beasts, lizards that had evolved so far and so thin that only a few of them still lived in this world. However, that one thing that was in the glass, in the ice, What could it have been? Who could it have been? But he has no time to think. As wars start to begin between the monsters, he noticed thousands of monsters dying in the forest every single day. What was this? It was wars. Territories started to build. Different sides started to collect together, different tribes. Something that he had never seen before. Was it because he was there? God damn this curse. However, they started to gain more intelligence as war started to go along. He started to notice as the bodies were found in formation. Something he had known well. Bodies stacking upon bodies. Blood everywhere. No noticeable fact of this resistance, this futile resistance. He didn't want to see it anymore. He never wanted to see it. It breaks his heart. However, these were just animals. It no longer hurt his heart to see those dead anymore, after what he's seen. It was almost like he was walking on grass when he was piling through the bodies. He found animals with rare objects. One object, a ring that would go around his left arm. A gigantic bracelet made for a king, almost. It was on a troll, a regenerating orc that he had found as a monster actually in this new land of mystery. These people, they were what they thought they were slaves to the giants. How did these get to Earth? Is this Loki's doing? As some of the animals were left over from the war. Hundreds of wolves came out of the forest, growling, snarling, almost biting each other from getting too close to each other, as all of them stared daggers into him. However, Deku bashes his hands together as he says, "You want to check at me? Come on. No looking anymore. It's time to start a real war." As he's being attacked from 3 different sides. Gigantic armies of wolves. We switch the perspective over to his older brother, fondled over by his parents. His quirk, annihilation. A quirk that would whenever he would touch somebody, it would suck the blood from them. Every single part of it. He called it annihilation. He wasn't allowed to name it himself, and promptly he was able to find ways around this. Every single time he touches somebody, he's able to peer into their memories. His quirk kept evolving for some reason. It changed. It became much more than that. Now I know what you're thinking. Yeah, that's just, that's the dust guy. No, he's much, much worse. See, they think he's a hero. As realistically, when he was saving a robbery, the police waited outside the bank as 3 robbers showed up in the sky, saying that if anybody enters, they'll get a bullet to the head. As they've got 25 hostages, and nobody's getting out easily. For every single moment that they don't, and then, as suddenly a hero is teleported straight right in front of him. As he shoots a bullet through his head, he says, "Oh my God, I just killed the top hero." As then they're like, "Holy shit!" And then, as his body flops to the floor, it turns to dust. As a man is like, he walks up behind him, saying, "Good try, though." As he grips onto the back of the man with the gun, as then he turns into absolute dust. The others start firing on his position, hitting some of the crowd that were gathering outside of the bank robbery. He shifts behind both of them, pulling in their necks, and then chucking them behind him by tripping them into the bank as he rushes straight in. he dashes behind the first guy that had the gun that was inside taking hold of the hostages. As he picks up, wraps himself around the guy, as he has agility also as one of his quirks. Who knew he had so many? He outsmarts most of his enemies. However, he takes up the guy's gun and shoots at the hostages. As he says, "Remember, you were the one that shot these people." As he says, "I get paid 200 for each one. They're targeted by a certain organization. Sorry, kid." As then he snaps the neck of the guy behind him by just touching his body with his back of his foot, which instantly makes its way up to his head and snaps him by controlling the blood inside of him. A very advanced technique that he's developed himself. As then another one takes out, finally, as the last one just submits himself as he falls to the ground with his gun out in front of him. As then, this sort of this hero, I should say, walks forward and says, "Aw, that's cute." As then he kneels down and puts his hand on his head, saying, "You really thought mercy was an option." As then he starts to suck all of the blood out of him and injects it into his own veins. He's like, "That's good, however. The more I collect, the stronger I get." As he starts to add the blood to his collection that's stored inside of his body. If you were to see him realistically, he would be fat and bloated with how much blood is inside of him. However, he's basically able to store more blood inside of his veins because he's constantly exerting it. You just don't see it. Deku had gotten so used to his brother being around that, well, blood was simply in the air all the time. He always thought it was weird. Maybe his brother was around blood a lot because of his job. How innocent of you, TYR. How innocent indeed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed this just as much as I did. Goodbye and good night.